Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship. We're here. It is the final race of the season, and for these guys in the No Assist Championship, the final race of F1 2018. The final competitive event these guys will all be doing before we move over to F1 2019. And yes, good evening, everyone. Hopefully, it's good to have you on board in the stream tonight. And my name is Gareth, otherwise known as Captain Stiff. And once again, I'm joined in the commentary box by my good friend Sab. Good evening, Sab.
Good evening. It's incredible, isn't it? We're here at the final race already. We've had some fantastic races throughout this season. So many highlights, so many things to point out. It's the home. Some people say it's the home of. Well, some people do say it's the home of motorsport. Others don't. It's definitely the home of Ferrari. Ferrari will want to be strong here tonight, especially Speed Queen, who's clinging on as much as she can with all her fingernails, trying to get hold of that championship tonight. It's going to be really interesting. For me, it looks like it's going to be Scott to take the championship, but who knows? This season has had so many twists and turns. We just don't know what's going to happen again tonight.
Absolutely, and just one thing to make sure that you don't have the same thing that happened to me in Belgium. Sab, do you want to make yourself a spectator unless you're planning on taking part? There we go.
Good.
So, unless you wanted to give yourself a ride around this famous Italian circuit, and we are here. Yes, it's Monza, 30 minutes north of Milan, one of the oldest circuits on the current F1 calendar, and Monza actually held an F1 race since its inception. The only time we've not been in Monza for the Italian Grand Prix was 1980, where it was held at Imola. It's a 5.7 kilometre circuit. It's just over 3.6 miles. Of course, the famous Tifosi Ferrari fans will be screaming along for the two Ferraris of Speed Queen and Nikki 995 tonight. And 10 turns, 6th longest track of the season. However, because we are at such fast speeds, it does feel like a relatively short track. But yeah, 6th longest on the calendar. But it's a 380 metre turn one, or run to turn one, so where the drivers will hit a top speed of 224 miles an hour from the exit of the Parabolica all the way down to the Rettifilo at turn one. Full throttle around here, 75% of the lap, so the highest of the entire F1 calendar here, and the guys will be really on it. Of course, some very heavy braking zones, but it's the throttle pedal will be getting the work out this evening. 46 gear changes over the lap distance. That's just under 1220 over the race distance for these guys, running a 50% distance, of course, tonight here at Monza. It's a low downforce track. You want as much straight line speed as possible, but equally those curbs, especially at the Rettifilo and in the second and third sector towards the Ascari corners, can really catch you out on low downforce. So it's can really essentially you'll find your lap being won or lost at those two corners that are on the lap. And yeah, it's Monza, it's famous heritage here. It's twinned with the Indianapolis Speedway, of course, which we see the Indy 500 on Sunday. So yeah, the two famous circuits twinned of each other. We've got beautiful blue skies above Monza this afternoon, or this evening, Sap. And what are you looking forward to tonight? Do you think, of course, Scott, he only needs 1 point to take the championship on countback and 2 to ensure it? Can he do it?
Without jinxing him, I think he can. If he does what he has been doing the last few races, he's been the man on form. He's looked dominant. Last week he was very dominant. He did exactly what he needed to do: get out in front and just run to the checker flag. And tonight, if he can do the same as what he's done in qualifying for the last few laps, I cannot see anybody but him taking the title tonight. Speed Queen, yes, like I said, she's got her fingernails gripped onto, trying to hold on, but I think it's a bit too much to ask for Scott to fail tonight, especially with the form he's in at the moment.
Absolutely, as you say, Speed Queen, she does sit 14 points behind the current leader, Scott. With this being the final race of the season, she does need a retirement from Scott, and then she needs to take the race win if she is to snatch the championship away at the last possible moment. And as we sit here with Joel P520, he's the first one out on track in the Mercedes, and coming up to Variante della Roggia right now, and now it's into the first of the two Lesmo corners. One of those set of corners which can be particularly tricky. You've got to make sure you get a decent run in, because that first entry will really set you up for this launch onto the DRS straight, as There you go. It's down nice and gently. You can see he's not using or barely touching the ERS here, trying to keep it in level 1. Just getting a little bit of temperature into those tyres as he winds up for the first time. He's pulled right down there. You see Joel weaving side to side. You want to get as much life into these super soft tyres as soon as possible. As you can see, everyone on the softest compound tyre, the super soft, apart from Speed Queen, she's on the hardest compound, the medium. And a little bit of a train for me. You see there's the Force India of XD Archie, I believe, that's out on track. He's just gone past Joel, so Joel now he's going to get a little bit of a toe down the straight line, down the main straight, which can be a huge boost, can it?
Yes, it definitely can. If you can time it correctly with your teammate, you can get yourself a very good toe here. We've seen it in F1 in the past when McLaren was Honda and they were trying tricks in qualifying. It does work if you can get it correctly and you don't get any traffic from other teams in the middle there. So as we've seen, it's a bit of a trend throughout the season, and both Mercedes not too far apart from each other, so maybe we might see some sort of toe happening. Joel maybe giving his teammate a hand.
Yeah, you can see the Mercedes 1-2 on the track at the moment, but Joel's just out of reach probably of a strong toe for his teammate. But we have seen the two Mercedes working in tandem in qualifying, but over the last few races it's been Scott that's been able to really pull the times out of the bag, and Joel's struggled in qualifying over the last few races, so possibly looking to end the season on a positive note, the second Mercedes driver. But of course, I'm sure he'll have all minds on the helping out Scott this evening. But equally, Constructors' Championships still in play at the moment. There's only a small gap between the Ferrari and the Mercedes, with Ferrari leading by 3 points. So all to play for in the Constructors and the drivers tonight.
Definitely, and if they don't get the drivers, as Joel has abandoned his lap there, Scott carries on going through, but as I was saying, if they can't get the Drivers' Championship tonight, Ferrari, to get the Constructors at their home Grand Prix would be some consolation for the home fans especially. So the Ferrari guys still got plenty to race for here, even though the Drivers' ones may be just a bit too much.
You can see Scott's gone to the top of the timing stands. After the first lap, that's a 1:19.647. Humberstone comes across the line. He sets the second provisional time. Oh, XD Archie's lost it on the exit of De La Roja there. He's pointing in the wrong direction. Hopefully that doesn't get in the way of the Mercedes. Just about misses him. Not the ideal start, though, there for Archie, who just clipped the curb on the second part of De La Roja, turned the Force India around, and he's got time, although those tyres are going to be probably a little bit warm at the moment. Won't be feeling particularly grippy, of course. Dust and gravel all over the track surface there, so they were a bit of a handful over the next few corners, but looks like he's managed to regain a little bit of confidence there, and I'm sure he'll be bailing into the pit lane at the end of this one and looking at putting a fresh set of tyres on. But he's got time. We've got 13 minutes and 6 seconds left to go.
At the moment, we've got both Ferraris on different stretches at the minute. Speed Queen's out there now. She's on the hardest tyre, the medium. Nicky, 9095, he's just come out. He's on the softest tyre, the super soft tyre. So split strategy at the minute down at the Ferrari garage. Let's be interested to see who it benefits the most.
Absolutely, and we've got a couple of drivers going across the line now. At GP1, Alex goes up onto the front row of the grid at 1:20.1. It was M. Dora and 09. He did a 1:20.62. Scott, the only one to drop into the 1:19s at the moment, so it's a good lap there for the Mercedes. And of course, the further up the front he is, the less chaos that will probably come his way come turn one, because of course, with knowing that he only has to pick up that 1 point, being towards the front and away from any potential collisions, as we say, as Schofield goes on to the front row with a 1:19.9. So yeah, Scott doing very nicely. So perfect position at the moment for the Mercedes.
Definitely, and surely you would expect Speed, which she has come back into the pit, surely you'd expect her to get onto those super soft tyres and try as she might to get up there alongside Scott, to at least give him something to think about and not let him just cruise to the championship at the end. A superb first lap, a banker lap for him. Schofield not far behind, so yeah, good start for the Mercedes team.
Absolutely, just what they want to see from him and from their championship leader as well. But you've got a number of drivers on the grid still yet to set a time that we know have got incredibly fast laps in them. We've seen the two Force India since they joined the league a few races ago really impress, especially in qualifying. And you've got XD Archie and White Fountain both yet to set a time, so both well within a chance of getting into the top two rows on the grid. Nicky 9095, he can always pull out a decent lap, and of course can the Ferrari get in between the Mercedes and really cause some trouble up the front end. And you've got the likes of SJD 1988 and Joel P520 still to set a time. And equally, SJD's been a race winner before. We know Joel's got the pace in him. He's just had a bit of an off season. So yeah, there's definitely potential across the entire grid for an upset in qualifying.
Most definitely. Like you picked out the two Force Indias. We've got yellow in sector 1. Is it just a slow running car? I think it's just a slow running car. But yeah, the two Force Indias, they have both shown that they can pull out fantastic laps in qualifying. Yet they had a bit of an off few last races for themselves, especially after a phenomenal debut race. But they'll be, if they can have a clean race, a clean qualifying, they can be right up there alongside GP1 Alex and Scopefielders. So at the moment there is still a lot to play for further down the field. Nicky 9095, by the way, came out and went back in, so he must have made a mistake somewhere. He clearly wasn't happy either with the setup of the Ferrari or something else, but he's back into the pits as Speed Queen, his teammate, is back out on the Supersofts.
Yeah, it looks like Joel P520 may have made a mistake on that first lap out on the Supersofts as well. He went across the line and did a 120.2, but it did not count. So 120.2 would have put him onto the second row of the grid, just in front of Humberstone, behind GP1 Alex. So Joel will be looking at possibly setting another flying lap now, or is he going to just use this as an in-lap again and go once again? But that's two sets of tyres burned. He's a 10th up at the moment, so this is a good lap for Joel at the moment. He's really given himself an opportunity to pole position. We've got a yellow in sector 3 at the moment. I believe it's just the slow car coming up on the right hand side. Looks like a Toro Rosso, so that must be must be SJD, sorry. It is, and doesn't look like it's compromised Joel. He's run out slightly wide on the Parabolica. Is that going to have hindered his lap? No, he's going to come across the line. What's he going to have done? It's a 120.045. He goes up into third position. Great lap there from Joel.
Yeah, that's exactly what his teammate will want. His teammate will want a helping hand up the front there. Scopefield will be challenging hard. Joel will need to be up there just to give a bit of a cushion to Scott, to try and help him along and get him to that championship win. But also, for the Mercedes point of view, this is fantastic for them, for the constructors. First and third at the minute, with both Ferraris still yet to set a lap time.
Absolutely, and two Ferraris and Tifosi will be looking with some horror on their faces as they see both their cars currently sitting at the bottom of the grid. But of course, Speed Queen, she's out on her flying lap at the moment. She's coming up to the Parabolica now, that famous corner at the end of the race, the end of the lap. Of course, not banked. The bank's one is just behind the trees. You see there behind her. She's going to come across the line. It's going to be a good time. It goes up into fourth position. Speed Queen 80, 120.096. She's just under or just half a tenth behind Joel in third position, and 0.05 of a second, or 0.005 of a second, sorry, faster than GP1 Alex. So close margins, and we've seen there's not a lot of margin for error around here. You clip a corner, as we saw earlier, XD Archie, it turns you around. So these guys really on the limit tonight.
Definitely. I always personally find Ascari a bit of an issue. You get a little greedy on the curves and it will bite you and either take you into the wall or spin you out. It is one of those tracks that you've got to run as minimum downforce as possible, but when you go through the corners, if you don't get quite right, it will punish you and you will ruin a set of tyres, and that qualifying run will be over. So it's like you say, fine margins here. You've got to try and get it perfect, because if you're running too much downforce, these long straights, you will just be punished, especially in the race. You'll just get cars streaming past you. So you've got to get, even though it looks quite a simple track, it's still complicated in a way, because you've got to get it set up right, otherwise you could be compromised either in qualifying or race.
Scott going even quicker, 1:19.260, absolutely blitzing the rest of the field at the moment. And M. Doran moved up into third position with 1:19.9, so he got down into 19, so good luck there from the Toro Rosso. But GP1 Alex, it doesn't look like he's going to improve. He had a huge moment coming out of Ascari, really got sideways and managed to hold on to it, so credit to him there. And we've got yellow in sector 1 at the moment. Might just be a slow moving car, but yeah, it's GP1 Alex unfortunately could not improve on that one. We've got XD Archie coming around the final corner at the Parabolica now. He is a 10th up at the moment, so it's going to be a good time for the Force India. Does he stick with it, or is he going to bail? Looks like he's bailed out that one, so possibly a cut earlier in the lap there for XD Archie. Nicky 9095, he's currently sitting on a 1:20.4. He's out on what looks like a fast lap, but he's down in 9th position. We've got a yellow in sector 2 as well. Yeah, he clears Scopefielder. But for those that are new to the championship, if you've joined us here, it is our final race of the calendar, round 12, the No Assist Championship. Of course, we'll be back in F1 2019 in a few weeks' time, and in this league we do have a tier 1, a tier 2 and a overall championship. Tier 1 are the guys that are running completely no assist. Tier 2 are the guys that are running on the using the racing line. And of course we've got Scott and Speed Queen. They're leading the overall championship, but equally leading the tier 1 championship. And it's the battle between Sammy the Pitto and Scopefielder was in tier 2, but with Sam missing the race tonight, Scopefielder needs 6 points to take the tier 2 championship. So although it may not be the top tier championship that he's looking, or that he's fighting after, there's definitely something for Scope to go after tonight, and starting in second is a good way to start.
Definitely. Scopefield, like you say, he'll be eyeing up, and without the challenge of Sam the Pitto tonight, it's there for the take for Scopefield. He is, like Scott, on good form. He had a bit of an issue last race, which was unfortunate for him, because he probably would have run close to winning the race, or minimum being on the podium. So he'll be hoping for no mistakes tonight, and if he does produce a race with no mistakes, Scopefield, 9 times out of 10 you will probably see him at least on the podium. Is that good a racer. So for his sake, in the tier 2, you would think you've got a very good chance of taking that title tonight.
Absolutely, Scope's been well on form in the last few races, and but we've got a surprise up the front at the moment with M. Doran 09. He's done very nicely to get himself up into 3rd position. Hasn't been challenging up the front since he joined the league, but it's a good position at the moment. Of course, one of the only 3 drivers to drop in the 1:19s, and unfortunately XD Archie has dropped into the comments and said he's not enjoying Ascari. He went purple in sector 1 and sector 2, so if the Force India can get that, as you say, that tricky Ascari, as we see Joel going into it now, if you can get that locked in, it looks like those Force Indias might be a bit of a handful tonight for the guys up the front.
Definitely, yeah. Ascari is, like I say, it's always been an issue for me. You try and be aggressive through there, but like I say, you be too aggressive, you clip those curves a bit too hard, and they will bite you hard. And clearly, the Force Indias are struggling with that. So if they can nail that tonight, we might see both the Force Indias right up there with the likes of Joel and Scopefield. At the minute, Joel and boy better know Scott, Mercedes front row lockout, so that's fantastic for them in terms of Scott and his championship and the constructors.
Yeah, finally Joel sets a good lap. You could see he was he's been on the pace throughout the qualifying session, but just hasn't been able to lock in that lap. But there you go, the 2 Mercedes 1-2 at the moment, and I'm sure that Ferraris won't be enjoying that sight at all. We're on board here with XD Archie. Can he get it right? Now we're coming up to Ascari. He's already said how much he doesn't like it. He's not been able to get it locked in twice. Can he get pulled in? There we go, nicely run there through this time. Gets a slightly wide exit. We'll see if that compromises him on lap time. He ran out slightly wide, but the first entry and into the second part of Ascari was good. Now it's into the Parabolica. He's nicely tight on the apex, run out wide. You can afford to run out wide. That gives you a good slingshot down the straight. What does XD Archie in the Force India? Oh, he goes pole position by 1600 or 16,000ths of a second. So yeah, he said that he went purple in sector 1 and in sector 2, and he's gone purple in sector 3. He goes provisionally pole with 1 minute 50 seconds left.
That is a stunning lap from XD Archie. He clearly went back to his garage, told the Force India mechanics what he needed to change. They got it done, and he's nailed the lap. Fantastic lap from XD Archie. The Mercedes guys will not like seeing that pit car up on the front row. It doesn't look like, by the way, his teammate. Oh, he's just come out now. I was just about to say I didn't think he was coming out, but White Fountain has just come out now, so it'd be interesting to see what he could do. Can he get up there with his teammate at the front row?
Yeah, everyone out on an out lap now, apart from Joel, who's still in the pit lane. Looks like he won't be going any further. He's done 3 timed laps and won't be going any faster. It looks like he's burned up those sets of tyres, so everyone else on track. So this is where it might be slightly dangerous for Joel. Of course, everyone has the opportunity of going quicker, and the track will have rubbered in, and will have we've had a little bit of track evolution. But XD Archie and Scott split by 6. Oh, Scopefield, it's Humberstone, sorry, out the exit of Ascari. You could see him in the background. We were on board with GP1 Alex, and we saw the Red Bull just lose it. But what can GP1 Alex do? He's going to come across the line. He's going to go back up into 3rd position, but still half a second off of Archie and Scott. So the two at the front have absolutely driven away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah. It's very close. I'm just watching White Fountain at the minute. XD Archie's teammate, he's coming down now to the Parabolica. What can he do? Can he get his Force India up with his teammate? He's going to come across the finish line now. He must be starting a new fastest lap there, because he's not improved this time, so he must be starting. This must be his first fastest lap now. My apologies, I misunderstood what he was on there.
SJD goes slightly quicker, but not quick enough at the moment. He's got the exact same time as White Fountain for 10th and 11th. But of course, because White Fountain set that time first, he starts in 10th. And I mean, how close can you get? But the only benefit here for SJD, of course, will be that he will start on fresh tyres if he stays in that position. And I believe he won't go any quicker as Scopefield goes across the line. He goes up into 3rd position. M. Doran bails out that one. Nikki 995's not going any faster. We've got Speed Queen. She's getting a nice toe off of the Sauber down the back straight as we get towards the Parabolica. Will that have made up any time for her? This is where she needs to have the lap of her life if she's going to put herself in the mix. Of course, we've got Scott's not going any quicker at the moment. Archie is on for pole position. Can he be snatched away? No, it can't. Speed Queen only ends up 4th. And with Alex, the only person now out on track, unless we got White Fountain. Can White Fountain go up alongside his teammate? No, it's up into 4th, pushing Speed Queen down. So worst case scenario there for Speed Queen, gets herself further away from Scott. But what a lap from Archie, gets himself pole position by 16 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, stunning lap. He said he was having a few issues. He got them issues corrected and pulled out a mega lap. Scott won't be too happy that he's lost pole position, because who would? But he'll see further down the grid that the Ferraris have had a pretty average run for their home race. So as long as he's ahead of them and he has a clean start down to turn 1, it's all looking good for him at the moment. But fantastic lap from Archie. Congratulations on that mega pole.
Absolutely, superbly done there for Archie, and he'll be absolutely delighted with that, picking up pole position here for the final race of the No Assist League. And there you go, there are your results. You've got XD Archie takes pole position in Force India with 1:19.244, 16 thousandths ahead of Scott in the Mercedes. Scopefielder in 3rd with White Fountain in 4th, Speed Queen in 5th, GP1 Alex in 6th, Joel is in 7th, M. Dora in 8th, Nikki in 9th, and Humberstone in 10th. And outside of the top 10 is SJD. He will start on fresh tyres. So great lap there from Archie. Equally nicely done from Scott. He gets himself up onto the front row, which, like you said, is exactly where he needs to be. And of course, if you didn't catch it earlier, guys, championship permutations are Scott needs one singular point to take the championship, because of course he has several race wins against his name compared to Speed Queen. Unfortunately, hasn't actually managed to pick up a race victory this season, which is astonishing to think that she's the reigning champion, and equally she's just been so consistent. She's been on the podium a number of times this season, but she's yet to pick up that elusive race win, whereas Scott, he's had 6 race victories this season, so he's been absolutely dominant.
Yeah, he really has, and to be fair to Scott, he does deserve it really. He's clearly been the best driver this season. Yeah, there was some of the pit early on showing that he had some form, and he looked like a genuine title challenge at one point with the 4 race victories, but he slowly faded off, and Scott carried on doing what he done best, and no one's really got near him, especially this second half of the season. He's just been Mr. Consistent when it comes to race victories and podiums. So yeah, fingers crossed for him and the Mercedes guys that he can do it. They're just back to line up now for the formation lap.
Yeah, the final formation lap of the season, the final formation lap of the game itself here of the No Assist Leagues, and it's going to be XD Archie that's going to lead the pack away down to the Ritterfilio for the first time, and this is where the nerves start building. You try to get as much tyre temperature into them as early as you can, and want to make sure that you're not getting to the line and having to put some extra burnouts in. Just make sure they don't start too hot. Of course, they want to be in that perfect warm and temperature, nice and sticky to go down into that first corner. Of course, guys, whilst these guys are going around, we'll just quickly review what's going on this week here in Invictus. Tomorrow night, we've got the Performance Leagues, Performance League 1 and Performance League 2. They've got 2 races left this season after China has rescheduled due to PSN issues earlier in the season. So they will be racing at Italy tomorrow night, but that will be the penultimate race of the season. They will have China the week after. And then on Wednesday, you've got the final race of the season for the equal performance leagues, F1, F2 and F3. The championships were sewn up last week in F1 and in F2, with Scopefielder taking his inaugural F1 championship, and supremely done for him. So congratulations to Scope, our third place man today. He is the F1 equal performance league champion. F2 was won by Nick LJ Thompson, and after an absolutely blistering end to the season. And F3, it goes down to the final race, and it's going to be between myself and Mike X SI, and the two of us will be going head to head around here, and the nerves will be fully engaged on Wednesday night, so make sure you join us. But for this evening, it's going to be XD Archie, who's got a huge gap between himself and Scopefielder at the moment, so he's going to have to be waiting on that grid for a little bit of a time, which is only going to help those nerves, isn't it?
Oh, definitely, yes. It'll make him start to think and rethink all the different ways to try and defend his first place down into turn one. Turn one, as you know, it's very tricky down there. It gets very tight, and you want to be at the front like XD Arches, because if you're in the middle, you can quite easily get muddled up with traffic. But here we go.
Absolutely, you've got 4 lights, 5 lights. Come on, guys, let's do this one last time on F1 2018. Lights are out, and away we go. The Force India leads the grid. It's a good start for Archie. He cuts across a Scott. He's not going to let him pass at all. Scopefielder's got ahead of Scott as well. So Scott in the Mercedes dropping down to 3rd position. What can White Fountain do in the second? Force India is going to try and go around the outside. Is Scott going to go? It's a great start for White Fountain. Up into 3rd position. Scott down into 4th. Oh, we've got Scott being swarmed at the moment. In fact, Speed Queen's going to try and go around the outside of Curva Grande. That would be an exceptional move if she can get that one done. Oh, we'll see. They're still side by side between the two. We've got the Sauber of GP1 Alex trying to stick with it. Oh, Scott just about holding on to 4th position there, but great start from the 2 Force Indias.
Fantastic start. Yeah, Scott struggling ever so slightly. He did well to keep Speed Queen behind him at the minute. White Fountain got the job done very early on Scott there. He really did take advantage of that opportunity, and now at the minute Scott is looking more in his mirrors at the minute than at White Fountain. Speed Queen less than half a second behind. She'll want to try and attack that Mercedes as soon as possible.
Absolutely, you can see at the front it's close between the 2 Force Indias, and as they sandwich Scopefielder in the Red Bull, so the 2 Pink Panthers got away very nicely indeed. Scott's going to have to try and claw some time back, but you can see there he's dropped 2 positions. Scopefielder and White Fountain moved up 1. Humberstone had a great start in the Red Bull. He's up into 7th position, moving up 3 positions. Joel and Mdoran dropped down 1. SJD. Oh, as we've got White Fountain's gone into the back of what we've got there. White Fountain's gone into the back of as Nicky picks up a 5-second stop-go penalty for corner cutting. He looked to get out of the way, but he must have got into the back of the second place man of Scopefielder, and Scopefielder is down and right down the bottom, so he must have had a spin after contact with the Force India. So absolute devastating there for the Force Indians, but that's promoted Scott up into second position.
Wow, I honestly missed that section, and I was looking further down, but that is yet again another tough race for Scopefielder. Can he keep his head and try and work back? Hopefully he's not getting any damage and he doesn't have to come in. He can just knuckle down and focus on going after SJD's first target. But that's a pretty much gift for Scott. Up into second place, he's still got Speed Queen not far behind, less than a second. It is an absolute gift. Can he go now and chase down XD Archie and seal a race victory? It's going to be interesting in a minute, because Speed Queen is not letting go though. She's staying right there and keeping Scott honest.
Oh, Joel trying to go around the outside of Humberstone into the parabolic. He's going to get it done, and in fact White Fountain surely he's going to have to come in. No, he doesn't. That aero deficiency is going to really hamper him down this long straight, and Joel's in the tow. Alex has already got past. Is Joel going to try and get past two? Or White Fountain chinking to the fight? Oh, there's slight contact between the two, but looks like, oh, are they going to get it done? God, nicely defended. There's a little bit of contact. In fact, he's been spun. He came across the line of Joel P520, and White Fountain has been spun into the gravel, into the wall, and the exit the Retafilio. So, oh, really unfortunate. There are two incidents at the same corner in consecutive laps of White Fountain. He went in side by side, and on the exit, he just drifted out into the line of Joel, who had nowhere left to go. It was either stick on his line or go into the gravel, and White Fountain unfortunately has been spun, and that's really I'm sure disappointing and gutting for the Force India, who started so well.
At the front, XD Archie has made a mistake, and he ran wide, ran onto the grass. He allowed then Scott, obviously smelling blood, allowed Scott to get right up to the back of him. Scott has just had DRS going up to Ascari. He nearly got the move done, and in a minute now Scott is looking like down to Parabolic. He's going to make them know Archie's just about holding on, but you would think in a moment with the next DRS zone that Archie's just possibly going to get swallowed up by not one car but two cars here. Archie, with a vital mistake here, is possibly going to lose him 2 places.
Speed Queen, she's going to stick to the left-hand side. Scott is on the right-hand side. Archie's on the right side. Who's the last of the late breakers? Scott's going to get a helping hand along as Archie's going to get into the back, and we've got contact between the two championship leaders as Speed Queen just tapped the rear end of Scott, but she managed to get past Archie. Contact into the Retafilio on the first 3 laps, so these guys really starting to push each other, and Speed Queen's going to go down the inside, try to take the lead down into Della Roger. She gets it done. The Tifosi will be absolutely delighted with that, as Nicky, as I say, as the Tifosi be delighted. Unfortunately, their tears of joy then turn to absolute sadness as they lose one of the Ferraris, and it looks like we've lost M. Doran as well. So 2 cars in quick succession there. So a disaster for the Toro Rosso and the Ferrari. We've still got a side-by-side battle, and Scott sweeps around the outside of Speed Queen up into Ascari. So these two swap in positions, and it looks like Speed Queen's got a much better launch out of Ascari. She's going to be in the tow, heading down the back straight towards the Parabolica. Now, who plays tactics here? Scott covers her off. That means that she's going to get DRS down the main straight. I probably would have let her pull to the in or put outside and try and get the DRS and then try and get the DRS yourself. But it's a 3-way battle for the lead at the moment. Archie's going to get a huge launch down this main straight, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. Surely Speed Queen, she's going for the left-hand side again. Can she get the move done again? She's ahead before the corner. Speed Queen retakes the lead. The Tifosi don't know whether to cheer or cry at the minute. It's a crazy few laps at the front for fighting for the championship here. Speed Queen giving absolutely everything, but Scott is not giving up at the moment. He's now going down the inside. Can Scott retake the lead? Scott retakes the lead. Fantastic move.
Absolutely perfectly done there for the Mercedes driver, and that is a racing driver at heart. You see there on track, and there's a reason why he races on the track IRL as well as in IRL, because that is a man who wants to win no matter what. He knows knows that he only needs a point for the championship, but he wants to be standing on the top step of the podium to round out the season and make sure that he finishes on an absolute dominant note. He's got a little bit of a love tap there from Speed Queen into Ascari, but luckily for the two, no undoing there, no wing damage from Speed Queen, but the battling at the moment is now becoming a little bit of a four-way battle, because Speed Queen, she's going to look to go around into the inside of the Parabolica. And in fact, it looks like she's going to get the better run. Watch out, guys. Wheel banging here would not help at all, but they're going to go side by side down the main straight. Archie's going to try and make it a three-way dance down into the Retifidio. Who is going to come out on top here, pulling out with 3 wide down to the Retifidio? Who's going to get the move? Archie's got a great launch. Oh, he's going to have to cut the corner slate. Speed Queen just maintains the position. What a battle.
Absolutely incredible. You just don't know who on earth is going to be leading each lap at the minute. Scott now is pretty much pushing that Force India. Speed Queen doesn't know where to defend. She's just keeping it pretty much on the racing lines, keeps the lead, but at the minute Scott now is hampering that Force India. But like you say, GP1 Alex now isn't far behind, and Joel V520 is also slowly coming along. So soon we could end up having a 5-way battle here. Scott is going round the inside, pushing that Force India out. Wow, can he hold on to it? It's a side by side going down to Ascari. Surely we are not going to have another overtake here, and he does. Scott gets the move done on the Force India. Fantastic move there from Scott.
DRS assisted, he gets the move done into Ascari. And in the background, GP1 Alex had a huge tank slapper coming out the second Lesmo. That allowed Joel to go past. So Joel is now starting to cruise up to these guys at the front. And look at that, you've got the front, the entire field almost in the same shot there. You've only got White Fountain and SJD out of shot, and you've got the top 7 all within about 3.5, 4 seconds of each other at the moment. So really this is anyone's battle. This, of course, we've seen these guys battling with each other. There you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all in shot. So it's a great start. 7 laps of 27 done, and this is the point where whoever looks after their tyres, possibly who gets the best strategy. Is the undercut better? Is the overcut better? It's this is the strategic point of the race. If the car's a little bit broken up now, we've seen that furious battling over the last 2.5 laps has become a little bit, these guys neutraled out a little bit. I think possibly thinking, I don't want to retire too early from this race. Scott knowing that retiring, as we've got the Force India of Archie going wide on the exit, the first Lesmo, he's going to pick up a load of dirt and dust onto their tyres, and that's going to allow GP1 Alex, who's got back past Joel, and Joel's now got Humbo Stone and Scopefielder for company. But Scott at the front, DRS, he's back up right into the gearbox of Speed Queen. Where do you look this evening? It's pretty much of a menagerie of action on the track.
Yeah, I'm currently watching the GP1 Alex and Joel battle. Joel now is going down the inside to Parabolic on GP1 Alex. Joel gets the move done, but like you said previous, this is not probably going to help Joel, because now this will allow GP1 Alex and Humberstone behind to have DRS on him. So currently he could end up gaining a place and then losing 2 places within a matter of a few corners. GP1 Alex retakes the lead, but now you've got Humberstone trying to make a move, but just unable to do it. So for that few corners, Joel did make a move, but GP1 Alex come back in with the DRS assistant. But at the minute, it is also now, after a mistake earlier on, allowing Schofield to come back into this fight. So this is absolutely incredible to watch.
The front 2 trading positions corner for corner, and this is very reminiscent of last season. And if you haven't watched it, guys, go back to our last season here at Italy, and it was Speed Queen versus Scott the entire race long, and the front 2 once again at it, and trading positions and down the main straight. It looked like Scott got the move done without DRS, possibly a DRS failure for the Mercedes, but we'll see. Oh, it is open now, but yeah, it looked like down the main straight he didn't have any DRS, but he managed to get past. But then down into the apex of the turn 1 Retifidio, Speed Queen cheekily threw it back down the inside. She got the move back on the Mercedes, but these two once again, Scott, he's going to stick behind this time. So yeah, he decides to go for the tactic, picking up that DRS, and he's going to be tucked in nicely behind the Ferrari as we go down the main straight here at the Retifidio Tribune. And Can he get the move done? He's not as close. It's going to have to be a later move. Oh, it's a big swing out, but he's managed to hold on to it down into the first corner. Who's going to hold on? They're still side by side. Speedqueen's still holding on, but they're still by side now. They're going to go two abreast around Curva Grande. Scott's going to have the inside line, which is going to make the track slightly shorter. Speed Queen, she's going to be on the banking, the slight banking into the next corner, down into Della Roger. She's now got the inside for this corner, and she gets the move. Well, I say gets the move done. She maintains first position, but these two still like almost stuck by the hip to each other.
You just don't know when to get a breath at the minute, do you? It's an incredible race at the minute. Just further down, Joel and GP1X both came to the pits exactly the same time, so they were hoping to get those fresh new tyres working and see if they can get an undercut on the cars ahead. So it'd be interesting to see how those two do. As you've just seen, Scott has now retaken the lead ahead of Speed Queen at Ascari. Incredible.
If you're keeping count, guys, watching the stream, please let us know how many times this lead has changed, because there you go, Speed Queen retakes it. I think that's about 4 times this lap. So yeah, if you want action, guys, as now Scott takes the lead again. So trading, and now both of them coming into the pit lane, line astern, just about getting it slowed down. Both having to slide to the left and to the right, so the Speed Queen didn't get any untoward wing damage. Now, let's see. Will the Mercedes get out ahead of the Ferrari? Yeah, he just about does. Speed Queen, she gets held slightly there. She's lost a little bit of ground. Will they lose any more time? Joel's going to be coming around the final corner now, so it looks like they're going to be exiting the pit lane. It's going to be close between the Mercedes and the Ferrari, though. She comes out. Joel's at full speed. He's coming down to the pit exit now. Can he get close enough? It's going to be just out of reach there, but it's a great pit stop there from the Mercedes team. They've got themselves out. Look at the gap that she lost in the pit lane. She's lost, what, 2.2 seconds in that pit stop?
Yeah, that was a poor pit stop for Ferrari. Guys, their Speed Queen will not be happy. She went in there fighting so side by side with Scott, and then suddenly she's finding herself over 2 seconds behind. That's not good, but she needs to remain calm and realise, oh, we've got a yellow in sector 3. It's Archie. Archie has gone off at Ascari. Archie has gone off at Ascari, and it's allowed Scopefield or Humberstone. Archie's had problems, as we've discussed, in qualifying at Ascari, and now he's gone off and he's hit the wall again. So clearly he's having a massive issue there in his Force Indy. He's clearly got front wing damage or a puncture or something, but terrible for Archie there after such a good run at the start of this race. Yeah,
very strange incident there, and it's a right-left puncture for the forced. Left rear puncture. You can see that left rear deflating and flapping around. He's going to really struggle around this parabolic, and what it is going to do, it's going to really hamper the guys behind him. As you see the Sauber just about avoiding him, but a really unfortunate for Archie, who must have absolutely driven the tyres off of that Force India, and to the point where he's given it a puncture after 11 laps. So disaster after what was a superb start for the Force Indias has now turned into a real calamitous race.
I'm not sure where it happened, but Speed Queen, I don't know if she got a bit of help from Scofield, but Speed Queen has suddenly found herself 0.2 of a second behind Joel. So what has happened there, I don't know. Joel was behind Speed Queen, now suddenly Speed Queen is behind Joel. So somewhere on this lap, Speed Queen has lost a load of time. Maybe was it through the incident with Archie, I'm not sure. But Speed Queen now is under pressure from Scopefield. And so at the minute, she's looking behind, not forward. So every second a minute, Scott is just pulling away from her. So this is not a good section of the race for the Ferrari driver.
No, absolutely not. And Scopefielder, he sits 0.4 of a second behind. And Scopefielder, in fact, going for the soft compounder tyres, so the faster compound compared to the Ferrari driver ahead. So does Scope think that he can finish this race on the soft tyres? And of course, we've seen Archie pick up a puncture, the left rear, after 11 laps on the super softs, plus his qualifying laps, which would have been 3, so 14 laps. So as Humberstone's going to come out, and that's going to really have hampered Scopefield as launched down into turn 1. His contact between himself and Speed Queen, they're still banging wheels. Of course, Schofield, oh, he's spun Speed
Whoa.
Queen. He's spun the championship protagonist who she needed to win, and there's contact between the two, and oh, that's absolutely gutting for Speed Queen. There was just 2 into 1, doesn't go on the exit. We've seen it happen already so far this race. It happened between White Fountain earlier, and it's happened again between the Red Bull and the Ferrari, and that really shows, especially to the rest of the guys watching ready for racing here tomorrow night and on Wednesday, the dangers going side by side on the exit of the Retifilia.
Yeah, that. If you ever need some luck, if you were Scott, that was just it right there. Schofield trying to move down the inside there. The car's just like magnetised, and unfortunately for Speed Queen, that's pretty much sealed the championship now to Scott, unless he has a huge error or a mistake later on. Schofield now with the DRS just to rub salt into the wounds after what's just happened, as now Schofield has overtaken Speed Queen, so it's going from bad to worse for the Tifosi here at Monza. At the minute, with Nicky out and Speed Queen just falling away, and Joel and Scott at the front, Mercedes look like they're going to be taking both the championships.
Yeah, Joel pulling to the inside. He's going to take second position, which at the moment is the effective lead of the race. So Joel moving up into second position ahead of Scott. He seems to have a little bit more. He's had a huge boost of pace on these medium tyres compared to his teammate. As Speed Queen comes into the pit lane, she's going to have to put another set of tyres on, and I imagine a front wing change after she collided with the wall there. So, like you say, effectively ruling her out of the championship. As long as, as long as Scott finishes the race, she'd need to finish first. So it's going to be a really tall ask, and I think at the moment the only thing that she can really hope or put her hopes on is a late safety car that would possibly mean that she could come in and put a set of super softs on late in the race. But at the moment, we've got the Mercedes at the top battling out over first and second. Humberstone up in fourth position at the moment. He's moved up 6 positions in the race at the moment. So great race so far for the Red Bull of Humberstone.
Definitely, he's gone a little unnoticed, hasn't he, tonight, with all the action at the front, and it's a shame that action has sadly come to an end of it, as you see Scott Boy better know he's now going to go for the overtake on his teammate, gets the job done nice and easy with the assistant of DRS, straight down to turn one. That was a nice, easy move, DRS assisted. But yeah, Humberstone, he's done a solid job tonight. He's kept out of trouble, and at the minute he's looking for him to have a good race. I'd like to see him have a good race after a few difficult races for himself.
Absolutely. Both Humberstone and Jolfie 520 will be looking at much more positive results next season, and they've not had the rub of the green. Of course, Humberstone's sitting on 28 points in Tier 2, so he's not been able to be as dominant as we saw a few seasons ago, where he managed to pick up some good results and really challenge Speed Queen. But doing very nicely this evening in what is effective third position, with SJD, I believe, yet to stop. So we've got the 2 Mercedes still trading lap times and sector times at the moment, just sitting in each other's slipstream. And I believe at the moment this might be a tactic between the two, although at the moment it's very tricky to get out of the slipstream or get out of the DRS detection, especially of a car equally powered, handles exactly the same. So this is all essentially like F2. This is driver ability that's keeping these guys in position. Joel's going to get DRS on his teammate once again, going down the main straight. Do they swap again? Scott's got a little bit more of an advantage this time. Does Joel go to the inside? No, he sticks behind. So playing rear gunner at the moment, because at the moment Humberstone is really starting to charge on these two. He's now got the gap down to 1.3 seconds. It was 1.9 a few moments ago, but he's made up a whole heap of time. So Humberstone on the charge in the Red Bull.
Yes, he definitely is, and these two at the front don't really, well, I'd say at the front, effectively at the front I should say, they don't really want to be squabbling too much. Yeah, Joel played the sensible game there, not making a dive down the inside of his teammate, but if they keep running close like this and compromising each other, it's just going to bring Humberstone closer and closer. He's down to 1 second behind Joel now, and these 2 Mercedes guys will not want to be seeing a charging bull coming up behind them.
Absolutely, and this is what we were talking about earlier with Scott. Of course, he knows that he'll see on the on his track map that the Ferrari will be driving around much further away, so he doesn't have to worry about it at the moment. Is this really where, although of course every racer wants to win, as Joel takes the inside and takes second position off of Scott into the Parabolica, does Scott just kind of let Joel go and possibly even let Humberstone go and just try and pick up the points that will bring him the championship? Or do we see the eternal racer in him just trying to gun for that victory? As Humberstone's going to go deep into the Rettifidio, almost hitting the rear end there of Joel 520, but just about managing to get it slowed down. Both front tyres locking up for the Red Bull, but look how close he is now. It's 0.3 of a second that split him and the Mercedes ahead.
Yeah, and if you're not aware, Humberstone is on the faster tyre, the soft tyres at the minute, so that Red Bull will be faster through these corners and throughout the whole lap and stuff. So Joel will have to keep an eye on his mirrors now. This might give Scott an opportunity to just slightly pull away if he can, if Joel is now under pressure from Humberstone. But Joel will have DRS, and so will Humberstone. So going down to Ascari, we could have potential moves here. Joel gaining on his teammate. Can he get the move done? Gets the move easily done with the DRS, and now Joel is back ahead of his teammate. So now Scott has to put up with a charging bull in Humberstone.
Absolutely, but it looks he's still tucked in behind. This is almost being at the velodrome and watching some Olympic cycling with the two drivers just trading positions, sweeping in front of each other. But these two still fighting over the race lead. But at the moment, there you go, the Red Bull behind of Humberstone. He's going to get a beautiful bit of drag on the two ahead. They trade positions once again. But here comes the Red Bull down the inside of one. Is he going to look to go down the inside of the second one? Or just about manages to get it slowed down. But up into second goes Humberstone. As now SJD makes his pit stop. He's in 5th position now. Does he get passed by Scopefielder? SJD going on to super soft in the race, so he's going to be mighty quick over the next few laps. But Humberstone up into second, half a second behind the leader. But of course, like you say, on the soft compounded tyres, so he will have that slight disadvantage in around 5 or so laps when those soft tyres start to lose that edge that they've got compared to the guys on the mediums.
Yeah, definitely. And while he's fighting like this is just taking more and more out of that tyre life. So it's going to make it even more difficult for him towards the end of the race. He wants to be fighting with these guys. He wants to get a race win. He's got an opportunity to get a race win here. But all this fighting on those soft tyres are just going to start to cry and really be punished towards the end of the race. He's now pushing hard on Scott Boybetter now, just 2.2 of a second, so he's not trying down into parabolic. He's going to aim for the DRS. Scott won't have DRS this time, so this time he'll be the one getting swarmed by two guards behind. So be interested to see if he can keep hold of it. I don't think he'll be able to, as Humberstone now pulls down to the inside. Scott really doesn't have much opportunity to defend, and Humberstone, with a slight lock up there, takes the lead of the race. Can he pull away now on these soft tyres?
Yeah, that is the golden question. That's what he needs to do. He needs to start to bridge a little bit of a gap between himself. But you can see Scott is nicely in the tow going around Curva Grande there, and he's going to be right up behind him going down into Del Roger, but managing to keep the position there. Now, obviously, it looks well likely that he's going to be within DRS down on the exit of the second Lesmo towards Ascari. So this is where we've seen positions trading once again. But now Scott, although he's going to have DRS on the guy ahead, he's still going to have to look in his mirrors, because although Joel has been pretty kind to him on the moves at the moment, is Scott going to look to go down the inside? No, he doesn't. So you're still going to watch out for your teammate, because regardless of Scott, obviously Joel will know, look, you only need to pick up 2 points to win the championship outright. I want to win this race, and I'm pretty sure if he can get past him cleanly, he wouldn't care how many points Scott picks up, because he wants to stand on the top step.
Definitely. He's definitely one that stands on the top step. As long as so will Humberstone trying to pull out a bit of a gap. It is at a half a second a minute, so he will have a bit of a chance of defending against Scott here. Scott with DRS just too far behind. So as you expected, you said SJD would be fast, and so he's proved it. He's just got the fastest lap on the super soft tyres in 5th place at the minute, so he's looking quite racy. Humberstone is keeping that gap nicely at the minute. If he can just pull it out a bit more and get out of that DRS toe, he'll be able to then properly focus on looking after those soft tyres.
So SJD, as we were saying, he's done the fastest lap of the race. In fact, he's taken 2.5 seconds in a lap and a half out of GP1 Alex there. So that shows just how much faster these super soft tyres are compared to the mediums at the end of the race. So yeah, SJD, he's going to be cruising up to the rear end of GP1 Alex. And what, with 8 laps left to go, I wouldn't say that a podium position is out of the question if he can keep up this pace. And he's really starting to take a load of time out of Alex ahead of him. Joel's fallen behind Scott ever so slightly. It's a 7/10 gap now between the two, so Joel possibly just sitting back a little bit, saving a little bit of battery, saving a little bit of fuel, and letting his teammate try and take a bit more life out of those tyres compared to Humberstone ahead. Of course, Humberstone, he'll be needing to look after these tyres. He doesn't want to be involved in any battles that he doesn't need to be, because he's looking at taking these softer compound tyres to the end of the race, and he doesn't really want to have 2 silver arrows swarming all over his gearbox. But unfortunately for Humberstone, it looks like the situation he's got himself into.
Yeah, he definitely does. But I suppose if you'd have said to him at the beginning of the race, you could be in 1st place with 2 Mercedes swarming all over the back, I think he would have snatched your hand off at it. So the minute if he can look after these tyres while also defending from the ever-charging Scott and not far behind his teammate Joel, then he might be able to get this win. It's going to be difficult to keep those soft, like I say, keep those soft tyres nice and healthy, but at the minute he's doing a good job. He's keeping that gap nice and healthy. Yeah, it's still under a second, but he's keeping it just large enough that the DRS isn't really working for Scott, as Joel has just picked up a 3-second time penalty. He must have been through the Ascari section, so that could affect his chances of a podium later on.
Yeah, that's a real killer blow there for Joel, and we've seen him pick up some silly penalties in the last few races, and it's been a real crux in his racecraft this season. It's just those track extending penalties just getting in the way of what is otherwise been a very a decent season for Joel. Of course, he's yet to pick up a real decent result, but he's been a pretty clean driver. It's just those penalties. Of course, hasn't been involved in too many incidents, but he, in fact, just looking over his results here, he's yet to actually finish in the top 5. So to be on the podium this afternoon, I'm sure will be a much more positive result for the Mercedes driver. And with Speed Queen, she's now out of the question unless we see a safety car late in the race and she's able to come in and set a set of super softs on, and even then you would imagine the rest of the field would do the same. I believe if Scott keeps circulating, or even if he doesn't at this point, he's going to be your no assist champion. Yeah,
he's just settling in nice now. I think all these guys are starting to just do a bit of tyre saving at the minute. You know, Scott has still under a second. He's not really making an impact on Humberstone like we've seen earlier in the lap. So Humberstone quite comfortable, and it's just crept it up to over a second. So if he can keep it at that, Scott won't have DRS going down the start-finish straight, which would be good for Humberstone. He can do some more tyre saving management. But at the minute, like you pointed out, SJD now, looking further down, he's only 1.4 seconds behind GP1, and he's also bringing along with him Schofield, who's only 1.5 seconds behind SJD. So at the minute GP out in the next few laps, say GP1 Alex could be really under pressure from the Toro Rosso and the Red Bull.
Sitting just above 1.3 seconds at the moment, so it looks like the inevitable might be that the Toro Rosso changes places with the Sauber in a lap or so's time. And yeah, like you say, Schofielder, he's done nicely to get back up into 6th position. Of course, Schofielder involved in that incident earlier in the race with Speed Queen. That's why she's so far back down the grid. And equally, the 2 Force Indias, they started so well, got off the line in 1st and 3rd position. And unfortunately, White Fountain involved in an incident earlier on with one of the Mercedes, I believe it was, and unfortunately XD Archie lost it on the exit of Ascari. SJD now within DRS of GP1 Alex ahead, and it looks like it's only a matter of time. Good evening, Sir Spud in the comments. How you doing, buddy? I hope you've been watching the entirety of this race, because man, the first 10 laps of this one were absolutely breathtaking.
Oh yes, I'm just glad for the minute we've just had a chance to just relax. But I think SJD is about to ruin all that, as he's now sinking his teeth firmly into the back of GP1 Alex's Sauber. He's going to make this move done. GP1 Alex, I don't think will have any chance of defending. He doesn't. SJD comfortably makes the move. A big lock up there, but makes the corner quite comfortably. And next for GP1 Alex, unfortunately for him, will probably be Schofield, who's now just 1 second behind him. So SJD now 5.7 seconds behind Joel. Can he get it down to less than 3 seconds and not pick up any penalties? That third place will be his. Absolutely.
SJD was saying before the race he wasn't feeling too confident about the race, but it's going pretty nicely at the moment for the Toro Rosso driver, sitting in 4th position. Of course, he started last on the grid in 11th. He's done the reverse strategy. He's gone from the mediums to the super softs. He's 5 seconds behind Joel, who has that 3-second time penalty, and it looks like the front 3 have now split up. Of course, you've got Humberstone. He's built that 2-second lead. He's done 11 laps on the soft tyre. Schofield is the same. He's done 12 laps on the soft tyre compared to GP1 Alex on the mediums, and then equally Scott has done 13 on the mediums. So the softs seemingly holding up. We've still got a while to go in the race, and we saw XD Archie pick up that puncture to one of his rear left earlier in the race. So we know that tyre wear can be really throw up some shocks in the race.
Yes, it definitely can. It's gonna ask a lot to run these. Was Schofield has made the move done on GP1 Alex down to first corner there. DRS obviously assisted, so Schofield are now up into P5 after overtaking GP1 Alex, but GP1 Alex is not going to give this up lightly. He's going to try and stick with that Red Bull, but I don't think he'll have much in terms of attack, and I'm afraid that is down to 6th place now for GP1 Alex. So Schofield were hoping to try and catch up with SJD even.
Yeah, SJD 4.6 seconds behind Joel. Further back for 7th and 8th, we've got a battle between the two Force Indias at the moment. I believe this one probably won't take too long either, because White Fountain, the Belgian, is in 7th position. He's got XD Archie behind him, but look at the tyre differences there. You've got White Fountain's done 20 laps on the mediums compared to 13 for Archie, so with 3 laps left to go, White Fountain's going to be driving around just wanting this race to end. Those tyres are going to be screaming by the end of the race distance, and XD Archie's got DRS on his teammate going down towards Ascari. He's pulled to the outside. Is he going to sweep around? Are they going to go into team battle? No. He gets the move done. So Archie up into 7th, relegates his teammate down into 8th position. But I'm sure for these two it's going to be a case of what ifs, because after they started the race so strongly, battling over 7th and 8th was not what they were planning on.
Definitely not. Especially we got treated to an absolutely epic debut race between the pair of them. They looked like they were really, as XD Archie has just set the fastest lap there, they looked like they were really going to show the rest of these guys that they are here and they are here to fight for wins. And it's since that race, it's just not quite worked out for them. Little mistakes here and possible wrong setups have just cost them, unfortunately for them, and we've not been able to see fully what they can do at the front. So hopefully next season, if those guys are here, we'll be able to see more of what they can do. It's been a tough race for the Force Indies guys, but a learning race, and they'll hopefully take a lot from this to take into the next season and prepare for it. Schofield, just watch it. Schofield has just picked up a 3-second time penalty behind SJD, so not good for him towards the end of the race.
No, Schofield in 5th position at the moment. He's on a little bit of recovery, of course. Had that incident with Speed Queen earlier in the race. And we've got ahead the time between Humberstone and Scott slowly coming down. It was at 2 seconds. It's now at 1.4. White Fountain picks up a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings, probably running wide over Ascari. We know how easy it is to do that there. But yeah, the time between the top two slightly coming down. It's the man on the charge, but with 2 laps left to go is SJD. 2.6 seconds in 2 laps. It's going to be a tall ask for SJD to get the move done on track, as Scott picks up a 3-second time penalty. So I don't believe Humberstone has one, although he's a second behind now. So these soft compounder tyres might be starting to go off, and that's going to benefit Scott. Of course, he's on the harder and more durable medium compounder tyre, but 3 seconds time penalties. That's is that curtains for the race? I don't think I've seen Humberstone pick one up, so that may be positions as we see them.
It could well be. I don't recall I've seen Humberstone pick up a penalty either, but he's on 14-lap-old soft tyres, and Schofield further down on 15-lap-old soft tyres. We've been watching. He looks now he's starting to struggle a bit with those tyres. So can they make them last for the last few laps here? Scott Boy better know. Clearly, is seeing an opportunity with Humberstone struggling on these tyres now. He's gaining down to the first corner, but doesn't get the move done. Humberstone pretty much will be hanging on here for the final lap.
Yeah, Humberstone, he's got 1 lap to go. We're on the final lap of the race, final lap of the season and of the championship and of the game of F1 2018 here in Invictus Racing League. No assist championship. We've got a final lap shootout for the race victory on track at least. And it's going to be between Humberstone and Boy Better Know. Unfortunately, it's not between the 2 championship protagonists, with Speed Queen down in 9th as Joel picks up a second 3-second time penalty. That may, or most likely, will promote SJD onto the podium. So devastating for Joel, and he was looking at his first podium of the season. But Scott, he's going to look, he's got DRS. Is he going to try and go around the outside going into Ascari? They're side by side. No, he's managed to, Humberstone's covered him off, and he's going to have one final chance up this long straight towards the Parabolica. In fact, he's pushing the Red Bull up the long straight towards the final corner. He's going to peel to the outside. We're going to go side by side into the final corner of the last race of the season. Who's going to come out on top? Humberstone's going to try and stick it in on the inside. Scott's going to run to the outside. We're banging wheels. He pushes Scott out wide. We're going side by side across the line. Who's going to get it? Scott gets it on track. Humberstone gets it on penalties. And that's a real shame that penalties or sorted that one out, because that would have been an absolutely magnificent end to the race. Congratulations to SJD. He comes in third ahead of Joel. Joel's in fourth. Scopefielder in fifth. GP1 Alex is in sixth. We've got the 2 Force Indias further down the grid. In fact, we've got yellow in sector 3. It's White Fountain who's lost it. It's Ascari on the final lap of the race. Can he get it sorted out? Or we'll see. Is it a second puncture? It is. It's a second puncture for the Force India teams. It's the same one as we saw for Archie. It's that left rear is punctured. Or Speed Queen, she's coming to Ascari now. Will she catch him? This is just for pride between the two now. He's coming up to the Parabolica, but he's going to be very slow indeed, and he's going to struggle with grip. It looks like he may just hold on. Speed Queen, she's coming to the exit of the Parabolica. White Fountain's going to come across the line in 8th position. Does he drop down after penalties to Speed Queen? She comes across the line. She does get him on penalties, and that ends an absolutely extraordinary race here in Italy.
Oh, what a race. Huge congratulations to Scott, championship winner, but for me, driver there has to be Humberstone. He drove superbly in that Red Bull today, got a strategy right, and banging wheels across the finish line. He thoroughly deserves the race win, but like I say, congratulations to Scott, and I think Mercedes for sealing both championships tonight. Huge achievement from over the season. They fully deserve it.
Yeah, you're right. Mercedes take away the Drivers' Championship. He's standing there on the podium. Second position for Scott tonight. He is your no assist champion. Mercedes take the Constructors' Championship for the season. And there are your results for the evening. Humberstone in the Red Bull. Fantastic result from him, from 10th to the win. A 1:23.148. He does it in 38 minutes and 19 seconds. He takes the victory ahead of Scott, your champion, in second position. SJD is in third, with Joel Fee520 unfortunately dropping to fourth. Scopefielder recovers to fifth ahead of GP1 Alex. XD Archie and White Fountain in seventh and ninth. Both suffered rear left punctures. That promoted Speed Queen up into 8th position. And unfortunately, we lost M. Doran and Nikki 9995 earlier in the race. And Wow, what an end to the season. If that doesn't build your appetite for F1 2019 and the first season on the game, I do not know what will. And how do you sum up that race there, Sab?
I'd probably go as far to say it was probably one of the best races we've had this season. I know we've had many great races this season, but that at one point we had 4 or 5 cars fighting for the lead. There was 4 or 5 overtakes for the lead in one lap alone. It was absolutely incredible racing. Unfortunately, really unfortunately, I was good to see Speed Queen just getting that collision with Schofield. I'd love to have seen how she'd have done fighting with Scott at the front later on in the race. But yeah, it was an absolutely incredible race. Humberstone eventually just seizing the opportunity, seeing 2 Mercedes squabbling, and thought, I'm going to take a piece of that. And his boy did he, and he drove a superb race to claim a win to that. But yeah, absolutely incredible race tonight.
Absolutely fantastic result, superb racing from all. We did see a few minor casualties along the way, but unfortunately, it would have taken a monumental effort for Speed Queen Aita, and she did come to blows with Scopefielder, which put pay to the end of her championship hunt, which means that she loses her crown, and it goes over to Boy Better Know SB. He picks up his first no assist championship here in Invictus Racing, and congratulations to him, and equally to the team of Boy Better Know SB and Joel P520 as they take away your Constructors' Championship. So it's a double for Mercedes, who will be absolutely delighted to take that all the way back to Brackley, and I'm sure they'll be celebrating long into the night. The two good friends, Scott and Joel, being able to bring it home and bring home the silverware. But yeah, fantastic race from the entire field. Congratulations to Scott once again for becoming your no assist champion. I believe Scopefielder with that 5th position overtakes Samu the Pitto with 6 points, and means that he will be your tier 2 champion as well. So Scopefielder, although he didn't pick up that championship that I'm sure he desperately wanted, he does take away a slight win where he is your tier 2 champion. But yeah, the tier 1 and overall champion is that of Boy Benno SB. And of course, guys, once again, and as always, it's not our only race of the week, and hopefully we will see exactly the same tomorrow night in the Performance League. Performance League 1 and Performance League 2. We've got championships to be sewn up. I believe Meg Luppy's going for the championship in Performance 2, and Skyzy and Aaron J. Spence will be dueling it out over the final 2 races in Italy and China for Performance League 1 championship. And then on Wednesday, F1, F2 and F3, and if you're gonna watch any, F3 still got the championship battle still raging on, so make sure you tune in on Wednesday night here on twitch.tv 8 p.m. for the culmination of the Equal Performance League Championships. If you'd like to get involved in Invictus and join us for next season on F1 2019, make sure you go to our website, invictusracingleague.com. Get yourself on the grid for F1 2019 by going to our sign up page and dropping a message into the admins, who will be more than happy to get engaged with you and get talking and get you in for a test race earlier in the new game, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to. And then equally, follow us on all the socials, Invictus RL on Twitter and Instagram, Invictus Racing Leagues on Facebook. Follow the stream. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, you can. The gold tier, the silver tier, or the bronze tier, you can subscribe to this channel for a nominal fee, of course, or equally you can use your Amazon Prime subscription. You get 1 free month subscription. We get the monetary value of it. You pay absolutely nothing, but of course it goes back into making the league bigger and better for F1 2019. And I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who's watched over the entire season, and I'm sure Sab will agree when I go to him in a second that it's been a real pleasure to bring you some absolutely incredible racing, some really fun on-track battles. You've got us to the level of being able to make this channel a Twitch affiliate, so it's been a real joy to bring you the league, and I'm sure you'll agree, Sab, it's been a really fun one to commentate on.
Most definitely, this is my debut season commentary with you, and I could not have picked a better league to commentate on, and I could not have picked a better person to commentate with. It's been an absolutely fantastic first season for me commentating on this league. I cannot wait to commentate on F1 2019 and this league, because if the racing is as good as what it was just shown, then it's just going to be absolutely fantastic and exciting to watch. So bring it on is what I say. It's been absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, for your first season commentating, I think you've done an absolutely magnificent job. So, congratulations for that, because it's been an absolute
Thank
joy
you.
and made my job a lot easier having someone alongside to warble on and incoherently talk about all the action that's going on the track. But I hope, guys, you've enjoyed all of our commentary over the entirety of the season. Of course, you can go to our YouTube channel, Invictus Racing League, and you can look at the entire back catalogue over the last few seasons and catch up with all the commentary that Sab and I and that I have given the No Assist League, and make sure you give that a follow as well. Of course, any support to the league is always generously appreciated, and we always like to see new members and new subscribers and new watchers to the league. So yeah, it's always good to have you watching, always good to have you chatting. So thank you very much once again, and we will see you in a couple of weeks time on F1 2019, but for the final time on F1 2018 with the Invictus Racing League No Assist Championship. From Sab and I, good night.
Good night.